Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Tuesday. Got lots of NHL news to discuss, so make sure that you stay tuned in to this episode until the end. Just a couple announcements before we go ahead and start today's episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. So, as I talked about before, the Hockey Talk with TG podcast will now come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of my school schedule, and I have decided the new start time and the end time for the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. And the Hockey Talk TG podcast will come out at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It will end around 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And if you're living up in Eastern Time, this will come out at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It will end around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to be the new start and end time for the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Because of my school schedule, we are not doing the Hockey Talk TG podcast on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time. Not going to work because of my school schedule. So, yeah, again, the new start time and end time is from 1 o'clock p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Central Time, and then 2 o'clock p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the new start and end time for the Hockey Talk with TG podcast because of my school schedule. Second announcement to all my people that watch the Hockey Talk TG podcast on YouTube. Starting with the next few episodes, from now on, it will be the cover art showing for the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. You'll guys still be able to hear me, but you won't see me like I am right now, like you are right now. And the only reason why is because I got a new computer, Mac computer, and every time I try and export the file from there and put it on YouTube or something like that, like the file name is always too big, and that's because, like I said, I do a 30-minute podcast. So the file's usually like 1 gigabyte or like 2 gigabytes. Like, it's too big for me to export. So starting with the next few episodes from after this one will be like you guys still be able to hear me, but the cover art will just be showing for the entire episode, and you won't be able to see me like you are right now. For this particular episode right now, I'm recording on my Chromebook because I never had excuse me, I never had this problem on my Chromebook. So this episode in particular, and all the episodes that I've done before, I recorded on my Chromebook because, like I said, I never had a problem with exporting it without the file name being too big on my Chromebook. But for my MacBook computer, it's like that for some reason. So I put the RSS feed from Spotify to YouTube. So for the next few episodes after this one, it will be only audio. Like, you guys won't be able to see me. You'll hear me, but you won't see me talking and stuff. So I just wanted to make that announcement. You'll guys be able to see what I'm talking about on Thursday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. And then next thing is, make sure to subscribe to the Hockey Talk TG podcast YouTube channel. Again, episodes come out every Tuesday and Thursday now from 1 o'clock p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Central Time, 2 o'clock p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to hit that follow button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button so you can stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Hockey Talk TG podcast and the latest hockey news going around the league. There was only 4 games on tap for Monday. There was supposed to be 5, but because of the winter snowstorm, the LA Kings and Columbus Blue Jackets game that was supposed to be played yesterday got postponed due to the winter snowstorms, and the game got rescheduled to March 9th, which, speaking of which, hopefully you guys are staying warm out there. I know school has been canceled the past few days. I know a lot of air flights have been delayed. So hopefully you guys are staying warm. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. I know in Chicago we get a lot of snow, and it's like very, 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 very cold than it is. So it's more colder and more crazier in Chicago than probably you guys are living that. But like I said, I know in Chicago we get a lot of snow. And it's probably, I would say, far more worse than probably anywhere else. But for me, I like the snow. Like, I don't really, snow doesn't really bother me that much, mostly because, in Chicago and stuff. But anyways, hopefully you guys are staying warm. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and all that stuff. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into the NHL news for today. We'll start things off recapping the Utah Mammoth and Tampa Bay Lightning. Andrei Vasilevskiy makes 28 saves in the Tampa Bay Lightning's 2-0 shutout win over the Utah Mammoth. Second shutout of the season for Andrei Vasilevskiy and 42nd career shutout overall. He's won 12 of his last 13 starts, in which he's 12-0-1 during the span. And with the win, Tampa improves to 33-14-4 of the season. They won 6 in a row at home, so they have been red hot at home. Their point streak had ended against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think that was, on Saturday that their point streak came to an end. I think they were on a 15-16 game point streak, and that ended with a 8-5 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday. And so they're 15-1 in their past 17 games. Darren Radish and Anthony Cirelli scored for the Lightning. Nikita Kucherov, who's always seems to be on the score sheet every game, he had 2 assists in the game. And he extends his point streak to 6 games, in which he has 13 points during the span. 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points during a 6-game point streak for Nikita Kucherov. He has 80 points in 47 games this season. 26 goals, 54 assists for 80 points in 47 games this season. Top 3 in assists and points as well. So he's really dominating, not just for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but for the league in general. And, of course, because he's one of the Lightning's top players, probably one of the NHL's top players and wingers in general. So he always seems to find a way to get himself on the point or scoring streak for every game. So I remember when the Blackhawks were playing the Lightning. This was, I think, last week or so, and the game went into a shootout, and Nikita Kucherov, he was getting the boos from the crowd. He kind of smiled. He probably didn't really care, but he kind of smiled as the crowd, the Blackhawks fans, were booing on him. And he scored an Arvidsjaur bloom, and he kind of shushed the fans, the Blackhawks fans, after he scored that goal. So I thought that was really odd and funny and impressive, trying to get under the fans' skin, I guess. So, but as a Blackhawks fan, it didn't really bother me because, of course, Nikita Kucherov, one of the league's best players, so didn't really surprise me that he was going to score on Arvidsjaur, especially with his pendant shootout move that he does, where he stick handles the puck, kind of does a little fake as well, kind of fake stick handle almost, and the goalie gets confused and it slides 5-0 past him. So he did it in the All-Star game once in 2018. He did it on Braden Holtby when Braden Holtby was playing for the Washington Capitals. He did it in the All-Star game in 2018 to him, and he also did it in a regular season game during the 2017-18 season. So that move from Nikita Kucherov is always so slick. And I think he did it one time to the Buffalo Sabres as well. So wasn't a surprise that Nikita Kucherov was going to score in a shootout in that game. The Lightning ended up winning 2-1 to extend their point streak. And then next game after that, they point streak against to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Anyway, for the Utah Mammoth, Karel Vejmelka, he made 27 saves on 29 shots faced the net. And the Utah Mammoth's 9-game point streak comes to an end, in which they were 8-0-1 during the span. And they dropped to 27-21-4 of the season. Mammoth were playing a back-to-back set in this one. They'll be in Sunrise, Florida to take on the 2-time Back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers on Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Lightning will play Jonathan Tage and the Winnipeg Jets at home on Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And for the Lightning, this will be their last game before the 2026 NHL Stadium Series, where they'll play their Atlantic Division rivals, the Boston Bruins, on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium, which is home to the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think on Tuesday I might do a preview of the Stadium Series for Tuesday. Thursday. I'll do a preview of the NHL Stadium Series because, again, we don't do episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because of my school schedule, other things going on. I might try and do a preview on Friday. We'll see. But it won't be every Friday I'll do episodes because, again, we don't do episodes every Friday. But moving on to the Brewers and Rangers game, as Matthew Robinson scores the overtime game-winning goal in the Rangers' 4-3 overtime win over the Boston Bruins on Monday, so they don't get blown out 10-2. And with the win, the Rangers improved to 22-25-6 of the season. They end their 3-game losing skid. They won for the second time in 10 games, and they're now 6-13-4 at home this season. So, like I mentioned, they don't get blown out 10-2 or get blown out in this game in general because going into this game, the Bruins and the Rangers were playing at TD Garden. This was their other meeting before this game, and the Bruins had won 10-2 in that one against the Rangers at TD Garden in Boston, in Beantown. We saw 2 hat tricks in that game as well. And I was saying off air, it's not every day that you get to see a team put up 10 goals in a hockey game. Like, it's something that you rarely see. Like, I remember the last time before that game I saw a team do that was my Chicago Blackhawks in 2017 when they were playing the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Penguins had won back-to-back Stanley Cups at the time. This was, I believe, the first game of the 2017-18 season for the Blackhawks, and they were playing at the United Center against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they won 10-1 in that one. Brandon Saad, he had a hat trick in the game. It was just a wild game overall. Glad we got the win in that one. And then there was another game. This was in 2016, so I believe this was during the 2016-17 NHL season. It was Blue Jackets and Canadiens, and the Blue Jackets put up a 10 spot, and they shut out the Canadiens 10-0 in 2016. So again, it's very rare that you see these types of scores in hockey where a team puts up 10 goals. You don't see that a lot. You don't see that a lot in hockey, so... just wanted to point that out. But Rangers now 6-13-4 at home. I'm pretty sure they hate playing at home this season because of their record, and I think were shut out in like 5 of their first 6 home games of the season, I believe. JT Miller, Will Cooley, and Will Borgen scored for the Rangers as well. Jonathan Quick, he made 21 saves on 24 shots, faced the net. And for the Boston Bruins, Elias Lindholm scored twice for Boston. Morgan Geekie also had a goal for the Bruins. 4th goal in as many games for him. David Pasta, he had 3 assists in the game to notch 900 career NHL points. He now has 900 points in 804 career games, 412 goals, 488 assists for 900 points in 804 career games for David Pastrnak. And Jonas Korpisalo, he made 24 saves on 28 shots, faced the net. And the Bruins' 2-game win streak comes to an end. They lost for the second time, with leading after 2 periods this season in which they are 24-0-2 during the span, so at least it wasn't a regulation loss. And they dropped to 30-20-3 of the season. Bruins are playing a back-to-back set in this one. They'll be at home in Beantown where they take on the Nashville Predators on Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And this is the second to last game before they play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stadium Series. They only got one more home game before they head off to Tampa, Florida to play the Lightning Stadium Series. And that last home game is against Matvei Michkov and the Philadelphia Flyers on Thursday. The Rangers, they will play a back-to-back home set against the Islanders on Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So Wednesday they'll be at Long Island to take on Matthew Schaefer and the New York Islanders. And then Thursday they return home, which I'm pretty sure, again, they hate playing at home because of their home record of the season. But they'll return home on Thursday to play at Madison Square Garden. And both games will be coming on at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But speaking of the Rangers and the Islanders, both teams made a trade for the first time in nearly 16 years. The Rangers, the Rangers trade defenseman Carson Soucy to the New York Islanders on Monday in exchange for a third-round pick in the 2026 NHL Draft. And this move is to help the Rangers roster reshaping efforts because, of course, as Rangers fans know, you guys saw that letter that general manager Chris Drury sent out, apologized to the fans for the season and their struggles overall. Something's going to change. Said all that in the letter. I just basically kind of summarized what was said in the letter. So they're trying to make some changes to their roster and switch stuff around to try and improve, I guess, for next season. Because this season, let's be honest, I don't even see the Rangers being a playoff team because of their overall struggles this season, especially not making the playoffs last year. So I don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year. Sorry if you're a Rangers fan. I think I have 1-2 friends are Rangers fans, so sorry for that. But yeah, I don't see you guys making the playoffs. Sorry. But anyway, Carson Soucy is currently in the final season of his 3-year, $9.75 million contract deal and will be a UFA after this season. And take a look at his performance so far this season for the New York Rangers. He has 8 points in 46 games this season, 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points in 46 games this season. Also has a +4 rating as well. He averaged 17 minutes and 13 seconds of ice time and was a defensive presence in high block shots and hits. And specifically on the New York Rangers, he ranked 3rd on the team in block shots and was among the team leaders in takeaways and hits. And like I said, for the Rangers, this is to change up the team, more of a quote-unquote roster retool from, according to general manager Chris Drury. And he also stated that the team will be smart and opportunistic in reshaping the roster as well. And at the time that he said that, the Rangers were struggling in the standings and they were near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So not been a good season for the Rangers. Overall, though, you can expect them to be sellers at the trade deadline, looking to improve for next season. And I know that some Rangers fans, maybe you might not be upset about this, you're a Rangers fan, maybe you are. But Artemi Panarin will not be coming back to the Rangers after this season. He's going to be a UFA after the season, and Chris Drury announced in that letter, or at least I heard it from Elliot Friedman, that the Rangers weren't going to be bringing him back on the team for next season. And that really hurts because Artemi Panarin was he added scoring to your team. And I remember when he was on the Chicago Blackhawks, he played for the Blackhawks in his first 2 seasons in the NHL before going off to the Columbus Blue Jackets and eventually the New York Rangers. I remember when he was on the Blackhawks for 2 seasons. He did win the Calder Trophy in 2016, and I love watching him on that line where Patrick Kane and Artem Anisimov. That was fun to watch. Of course, Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane is still my number 1 dynamic duo on the Chicago Blackhawks. My number 2 was Patrick Kane and Artemi Panarin. They were so fun to watch together. Those 2 guys lit the lamp every single night. So Artemi Panarin does add scoring to your team. He is a great, solid player to watch. And if I was a Rangers fan, I would be hurt because he's not coming back to the team. And like I said, he played for 2 seasons for the Blackhawks in the NHL. And you guys know I'm a Blackhawks fan. So I watched him on the Blackhawks for the first 2 seasons in the NHL that he played for. He was just a great player on the Blackhawks. I hate that we let him go to the Columbus Blue Jackets, but hey, it is what it is. And yeah, it was fun watching him and Patrick Kane scoring every night on that line. It was Kaner, Panarin, and Anisimov on the line together somewhere around like 2015, 2017. So for the Islanders, this trade could, work out well for them. With trading Carson Soucy with the Rangers trading Carson Soucy to the Islanders, because they have defensive injuries, notably Alexander Romanov, who underwent shoulder surgery and is expected to miss significant time. And Carson Soucy does fit that role. He helps fill in that void, and he adds size, he adds physical presence. He's a penalty kill expert. I don't know if that makes sense or not. 6'4", 211 pounds, and he's a big guy, and the Islanders need someone like Carson Soucy to fit in that role for Alexander Romanov. So I think this is a great, solid addition for the New York Islanders. Taking a look at Carson Soucy's career stats, he has 95 points in 411 career games, 30 goals, 65 assists for 95 points in 411 career games, and 7 points in 38 playoff games. 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points in 38 playoff games. He's played for the Wild, he's played for the Kraken, played for the Canucks, played for the Rangers, and now playing for the New York Islanders. Overall thoughts? Not a bad trade. The Rangers need to change things up for their roster because of their struggles. Islanders will need a huge or solid defenseman on the team. Someone with great size and a big presence. Carson Soucy fits that, especially. So this is depth for their defense overall, though. At least that's what I think. And like I said, this is the first time in nearly 16 years that the Rangers and Islanders have made a trade with each other. So you rarely see these two teams make a trade with each other, especially since they are longtime rivals as well. So it's crazy to think about. I couldn't even believe that these two teams made a trade with each other. But hey, it worked out well for both sides, though. That's all I can say. I'm sorry, I need to blow my nose for a second. Sorry. But anyways, let's move on to the other NHL news for today. So, Islanders and Flyers. Ilya Sorokin, he makes 21 saves in the New York Islanders 4-0 shutout win over the Philadelphia Flyers. 6th shutout of the season for Ilya Sorokin. And he leads goalies for most shutouts this season. He notched his 28th career shutout, and with the win, the Islanders improved to 28-19-5 of the season. John Gabriel Pajot scored twice in the win. Matthew Barzal had a golden assist for a 2-point night for the Islanders, and Tony DeAngelo also scored for the Islanders in this win. Anthony Duclair finished with 2 assists. He now has 7 points in his last 7 games. 5 goals, 2 assists for 7 points in his last 7 games for Anthony Duclair. And for the Philadelphia Flyers, Samuel Ersson made 19 saves for Philadelphia. And this was the first time, or I should say this was the Flyers' first game back after their 3-game road trip in which they went 2-0-1 during the span. And they get a loss in this one, and they dropped to 24-18-9 of the season. But the Flyers will play a back-to-back road set against the CBJ Columbus Blue Jackets on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. This game will air on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max for you guys to watch. And then after the game against the Blue Jackets, they'll be in Boston in Beantown on Thursday to take on the Boston Bruins at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And the Islanders, they're going to be playing a home-and-home set against their longtime rivals, the New York Rangers, on Wednesday and Thursday. They'll be at Long Island on Wednesday, and then on Thursday they'll be at Madison Square Garden. But I'm pretty sure if you're a Rangers fan, you probably want both games to be at Long Island because of their home record. But anyways, last game of the night, Ducks and Oilers. Mattias Ekholm, he notches his first career hat trick in the Oilers' 7-4 win over the Ducks on Monday. He had 3 goals this season entering tonight. He's now up to 6 goals of the season. 53rd game this season and 938th career game. And with the win, the Oilers improved to 27, 19, and 8 of the season. And fun fact, the Oilers became the first team in NHL history to have a defenseman score a hat trick in consecutive games. I know Evan Bouchard done it last on Saturday in the Oilers 6-5 overtime win over the Capitals, in which he had a 6-point night as well. Because with the hat trick, and for those who don't know what a hat trick is, those who are new to hockey, a hat trick is when a player scores 3 goals. And Evan Bouchard also had 3 assists for a 6-point night in that one. Goals and assists add up for points in hockey. For those that, again, are new to hockey and didn't understand the point system, like stuff like that. So, just wanted to lay a couple of hockey facts on you guys. But yeah, that was a great game for the Oilers against the Caps in that one. Evan Bouchard again putting up a 6-point night in that one. So, and that's even a crazier stat, by the way. I didn't even know that till, looked it up. So, first team in NHL history to have a defenseman score a hat trick in consecutive games, because Evan Bouchard did it on last Saturday in the 6-5 overtime win for the Oilers over the Capitals, and now Mattias Ekholm does it in the Oilers 7-4 win over the Anaheim Ducks. Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman each had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. Spencer Stastny also scored for Edmonton in this one. Leon Draisaitl has had 4 assists in the game. Tristan Jarry, he made 36 saves on 40 shots, faced the net. And for the Anaheim Ducks, Mikael Granlund had a hat trick in the game. So Mattias Ekholm was the only player to notch a hat trick in the game. We saw Mikael Granlund had a hat trick as well. All 3 goals coming on the power play, by the way, for Mikael Granlund. And then Alex Killorn also scored for Anaheim, his 6th goal of the season. And Beckett Seneca, who had a hat trick against the Flames, coming into this one, he had 2 assists for the Ducks in this one. And Ville Husso made 25 saves on 32 shots faced the net. And with the loss, Anaheim drops to 28, 22, and 3 of the season. And they wrap up their 4-game road trip in Vancouver against the Canucks on Thursday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Oilers continue their 8-game homestand against the Sharks on Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Now let's get into the NHL games on the slate for today. There's only 10 NHL games on the slate for today, starting with the Nashville Predators taking on the Boston Bruins at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got a Atlantic Division showdown between the Buffalo Sabres and the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Sabres, last time I checked, they were in 3rd place of the Atlantic Division. And no, I am not making this up. I'm dead serious. They were in 3rd place of the Atlantic Division. So, take a look at this. This is crazy to see that the Sabres are in 3rd place of the Atlantic. So, they really improved. And look at where Toronto is. They're just trying to get into a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. Sabres have won 3 in a row. By the way, they won 7 of their last 10 games. So that's going to be a tough opponent for the Toronto Maple Leafs into this one. Again, kind of feels weird to me to say that, considering the Sabres have, to me, despite their great young talent, has always kind of sucked the past few seasons and now not making the playoffs. So it kind of just feels weird for me to say that that the Sabres are a tough opponent for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But hey, it is what it is. They could possibly make the playoffs. I don't know. They just have to. I'll see at the end of the season, because, like I said, the Sabres were on this great start something similar to this in 2018, where they had Jack Eichel, Evander Kane, and Ryan O'Reilly on the team then, and they still missed out on the playoffs. So yeah, show me first. I'm not going to say that the Sabres will make the playoffs. So I have to actually see it first to believe it. Because again, similar thing happened in 2018, and they still missed out on the playoffs. But anyways, next game, we got the VGK Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Montreal Canadiens at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Cole Caulfield coming off that hat trick in Boston. Unfortunately, Canadiens couldn't get the win over the Bruins, losing 4-3. Looking to bounce back in this game against the Golden Knights. Then we got the LA Kings taking on Detroit Red Wings at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. They were supposed to be playing a back-to-back set, but again, their game against the Blue Jackets got canceled due to the winter snowstorms for Mondays. So they're not going to be playing a back-to-back set in this one. Then we got the Utah Mammoth taking on the two-time Cup champion Florida Panthers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. The Mammoth, however, are playing a back-to-back set. They were shut out by the Lightning on Monday 2-0. See if they'll get a bounce-back win against the Cup champs. It'll be a hard task to do, but we'll see how everything will go. And then we got the Winnipeg Jets taking on the New Jersey Devils at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got a Central Division showdown between the Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on Hulu and ESPN Plus for you guys to watch. These two teams played last week in Dallas, with the Stars winning 3-2 in regulation. And so far, the home team has won each meet so far. The Blues won 3-1 in St. Louis back on October 18th. And then, like I said, last week the Stars winning 3-2 against the Blues. Could the Blues possibly win this one? I think so. Feels weird for me to say that, considering I'm a Blackhawks fan and don't like the Blues. But we'll see how everything will go in this game. Final meeting is in Dallas on February 4th. And we'll see if the home team continues to keep winning these games. Then we got another Central Division showdown between the Chicago Blackhawks and Minnesota Wild at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So first time the Blackhawks will get a look at Quinn Hughes wearing a Minnesota Wild jersey. This should be a great one, although the Wild has had our number the last few times we faced off against each other, but we'll see how everything will go in this one. It probably might be another Minnesota Wild win against the Chicago Blackhawks. And then we got a Pacific Division showdown between the San Jose Sharks and the Vancouver Canucks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Macklin celebrating, returning to his hometown of Vancouver. Let's see if he puts on a star-studded performance in this one. He's tearing up in the league right now, and maybe he gets 2 goals or maybe a hat trick against his hometown team. Might be overreacting right there, but should be a good game for him and for the Sharks. Considering where they are in the standings, I think they're near a playoff spot or in a wild card spot right now, and we'll see if they can get a win over the Vancouver Canucks. And then we got the Washington Capitals taking on the Seattle Kraken at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Again, episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 o'clock p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And also to those who watch the podcast on YouTube from now on with the next few episodes after this, because my MacBook computer won't let me export the MP4 files like this one to YouTube without the file name being too big. I'm going to I put the RSS feed on the podcast YouTube channel, so you guys will still be able to listen to the episodes. You just won't see me talking like I am right now. You guys won't see me talking. You'll hear me, but you won't see me. For the people that watch the podcast on YouTube, and you guys see what I'm talking about on Thursday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. That is if the weather tends to be nice and we're all back in school. But right now we're not, because of the winter snowstorms, which again, hopefully you guys are staying safe. That, like I said, in Chicago we get lots of snow, and the roads are really icy, but they prepare the roads in advance. So that's one good thing about it, but still really scary at the same time to be driving on the roads, and that could be for anywhere where the roads are like very icy. But I know in Chicago it happens a lot. So hopefully you guys will stay safe because of the winter snowstorm and stuff. Hopefully you're staying warm. Get you some hot cocoa and whatnot. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Keep God first always. Be blessed. Stay warm. Stay safe. I'll see you guys on Thursday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. Take care.